Hey everyone, Eric Watson here, freelance writer, player of games, writer of Roger Quarter videos, and tabletop role-playing aficionado. Welcome to the Monday edition of my bi-weekly behind-the-scenes DM-only live stream, Crafting the Deep, in which I build, write, and prepare for our next session of Call from the Deep. If you're playing characters Gottwald, Mock Savra, or Twirl, this stream is not meant for you. It'll be full of spoilers, but for the rest of you, welcome. Yay, 7,000. Woo! At least until somebody drops, we go down to 699, and then somebody else comes in. But for now, we hit the 7,000. Yay, subscribers. We stream our D&D sessions live on YouTube every Friday. Join our official Discord server with the invite link in the description below. If you'd like to support the channel, please check out patreon.com/RogueWatson. For our campaign, we use Roll20. For streaming, I use OBS Studio. Welcome to the How Do We Adjust the Game Based on What Raymond has done last week session of crafting. It's not the first time we've had to do one of these craftings, and hopefully it won't be the last time, because honestly, between all of you, I'm kind of delighted whenever he throws a giant monkey wrench into everything, because in this case of a misplaced letter, I think. Shout out to Demnix for reviewing the tape and deciding that it was all just a hilarious misunderstanding that basically led Mac to abandon the party in the middle of a pretty big fight, which ended up taking the rest of the party like the entire session, while he explored the dungeon, but also explored by just kind of like skipping over things, which is fair, I guess. I did know he could walk on having a climbing speed, and he uses that climbing speed very, very well. And thankfully, we had all this prepared, right? Thank goodness, because I did expect that outside fight to take a while and didn't think we would actually make it very far into the Iron Hand Cairn dungeon. But I went ahead and have it all prepped, and you all right there with me as we made this crazy, layered 2.0 version of map over the original one. And thank goodness we did all this work, because goddamn, we made it all the way to I5, like almost to basically the final room. In fact, that's basically what we're gonna be preparing. So Mac went through, out of the essentially 5-room dungeon, he triggered all but 2 rooms, which one of them was a room he just went right past, which is ironically the way more interesting one than this one. He went to the right into I3, or first of all, he did the whole spike trap thing and then leapt on the walls, which I totally fine. And then he went to this room, but the trap specifically says it only triggers if they step on a pressure plate, and he was like, I'm climbing up on the walls. I was like, well, fuck, I guess I can't actually trigger this trap and do that to him. So then he got out, and instead of going to the left and maybe jacking with this statue, which I think he would have, and then would have been in a world of hurt with a bunch of ghostly dudes appeared, he instead went south. We triggered the whole Storm Maiden's crew thing with the cloaker attack. All that was set up. And then, of course, he did the usual Mac thing and just decided to play Mr. I don't know, Mr. Social Role-Playing. I think he does such a great job in any situation of playing D&D, of just like not treating it like, oh, we're just in a tactical combat now, I have to like fight these people, run away or something. He's like, nah, let me try and like socialize and do all my best stuff. And I love it. I love it to death. So instead, he is now allied temporarily with the Storm Maiden, and the entire group that I've created, which consists of her, 2 berserkers, 1 pirate deck wizard, and 2 spies, because one got killed by the cloaker, are now marching on the final room of the dungeon. Meanwhile, the entire rest of the party is still outside the dungeon. They still haven't actually made it inside the dungeon yet, which is bananas. I mean, I was having to figure out, you saw me all live on last Friday, embarrassingly, figuring out how to actually split the party, which is this new system they have. It's probably been like this for months. But I've literally not had to split the party that extreme to where they were on completely different maps in a very long time. So this marks kind of the first one. This was the battle they just had. And funny enough, if you look at our chat logs, like literally they're short resting like while we're having this battle, which I think is very funny. Like the other 3 are short resting, and then Mac's in the middle of having a battle down there. I guess I can go ahead and move his token out of there. So yeah, they'll have to like enter in. So I would love to ask all of you who have experience with some extreme party splitting situations, and it's happened before, and it's usually a case-by-case basis, but and Chris even mentioned like you're gonna have to do some kind of time dilation thing, and then I kind of fought back against that for a second. I got a little bristly and was like, well, I'm not the one that, because he's saying, well, you're gonna have to do this, and I'm like, well, I'm not the one that split the party like this. Like, this isn't, you guys are having to make your bed and shit in it now, I think, because like I will say we do have rules where a short rest only lasts 10 minutes, right? And I get that, like, yeah, there probably does need to be some sort of time dilation. And I've played with that as well for dramatic effect. Because, gosh, if short rest took an hour, like, Mac would literally complete this whole dungeon scenario with the party still out there short resting. Because it's 10 minutes, I think we can maybe start with the crew who short rested, let them enter the dungeon. But then I got to go back to Mac and let him, go in there, do some things, start combat. That's going to be in that lower room. But that's the thing, is we're going to have to play it by ear, but I just don't have much sympathy for the party situation right now, because it's totally of their own making, and they're very, and again, Mac never told them what he was doing or anything like that, so they have no idea. They have no idea he's even in the dungeon, so they don't know to catch up to him, for example. It's not like they're rushing to catch up to him. They literally, if they're just going to walk in and be like, I guess we should go in here and start exploring. So they're not going to know. I guess what I should do is see what the party can see when they actually come in. But so in other words, I'm not going to have a whole lot of sympathy for how this is going to unfold. And I'm excited alongside all of you to see how the party is going to deal with this. I think Sabra still has a zombie left also. Yeah, let's grab that too. Let's grab the zombie and cheese, because I don't think I have either of them on that map. I think Mac on the wall is going to be great for the rest of the party to trip a trap. Yeah, I agree. They will definitely trip the trap. And, hopefully they can avoid the metagaming stuff, which I think they will. Alright, so let's put all of them on the GM layer. Because obviously they kind of know what's coming, but they really don't. So we can use two examples. One is Gottwald, who's got dark vision, and then somebody like Sabra, who does not, in terms of what they see. What I'll probably do is have Mac move a little bit up, because I think to be really sneaky, we're going to put everybody down here, and then I'm going to re-put my dynamic lighting, which is going to be blocking off this cliff, because this is a higher level, and we even explained that during the last week's session, then so that Mac wasn't able to see up on this cliff. So literally, even though this is not that far distance-wise, this is a line of sight blocker right here. So this is, how far is this actually? It's about 65, 70 feet from the entrance, which is probably around where dark vision would let you see. So normally once Gottwald starts moving south, he'd be able to probably see into this final room, or at least get close to it. However, I'm going to have a sightline blocker right there because that's a cliff. So I do need to do the timing where Mac and company will need to move further south into this room before I let the party fully open the door and make it inside. Because otherwise I think they'll be able to see a little bit farther than I intend them to. Let's see what Gottwald can see right on the stairs. Jesus Christ, why can he see so far? Does he have 120 dark vision? Fuck, he does. Is that what the giant rune does? God damn it. That's irritating. Well, the line of sight blocker is still going to work. Why would anything give you 120 feet of dark vision? I'm just going to go ahead and say that I hate it. There's a cleric that does that too, because I think Alaric can do that in our patron game, but that is so fucking annoying. Just all the way down to the end of the fucking dungeon. But again, this will be blocked off right here. So right around where the Storm Maiden is now, that's going to be a sight blocker. So they will be able to see down. Gottwald, sorry, will be able to see down and see the river down at the bottom, and then like the crossroads. But yeah, they'll have to deal with the spike trap still. Here, and then if they bother to look around, they'll see kind of a statue, and I'll describe like a plaque in front of it, and I've actually changed it around. I guess I didn't reveal that either because we didn't go to that room, but I did write down that instead of a treasure being there's going to be a plaque with like a hand indentation, almost like the reactor in Total Recall, and the plaque will basically say something like, if you want to receive my blessing, you must prove yourself worthy, or something. It's the war god. And as soon as you put your hand there, that summons all these ghostly warriors that then fight you. And then if you beat the warriors, then you get a little finite charm thing. Lets you cast, I'm thinking compelled duel is kind of appropriate for a war god reward. It might be too weak of a reward after fighting like 5 ghostly spirits, but I don't know. I don't want to overtune things too much. So that's the whole thing the party can do. And again, not even knowing that Mac is down there at all. The problem is, metagame-wise, are we looking for him? Or can we hear the sound of battle eventually? Which brings me to what Mac's going to be doing with the Storm Maiden's crew. They're going to make their way south in here, and that's going to trigger the real boss fight of this dungeon, which now we're going to have to redesign because instead of Mac and the party, it's Mac plus the Storm Maiden and all the NPCs. So we can do a whole big old thing right here. And it's going to be really interesting for Mac. The problem is, I hate to run a fight that's 90% NPC. That's going to be a real drag for the party. So that's another question I have is, do I still go along with this knowing that it's like, again, I'm not the one that set this up, right? I'm trying to like say, look, you guys made these choices and this is what, or one player at least made these choices. I could always give control of some of the NPCs to the party, even though they're not even there and don't know that information or shouldn't be looking at those stat blocks. I don't know what the best solution for that is. You can kind of hand wave, I guess, to make combat go faster would probably be an appropriate thing to do. So maybe I could simulate what combat would look like and thus not have to roll strict numbers except where maybe like Mac's concerned or something. I could try it like that. I could adjust individual stat blocks or things. But I'm curious, the whole thing is causing me to have to make some adjustments, at least, probably to this final fight. So, as it was written, this was going to be you go up to the tomb, and it's not actually Iron Hand appearing. It's like his, second in command or something who's still protecting the resting place of his king. And that's just the Sword Wraith Commander, who is a CR8 stat block. And I'm going to have him, his action is he summons Sword Wraith Warriors, but I'm just going to have him do that when he spawns. That seems like a no-brainer for balancing that fight a little bit better. But now I may add more Sword Wraith Warriors because there's a hell of a lot more NPCs to fight. And I mean, on the one hand, Max, it's going to end up I'm just NPC against NPC. Like, I'm not really challenging the party at all. So it's going to end up a lot more in the party's favor by having Mac do this. He's just pitting them against each other. And that's great because that's less pirates for them to deal with if he eventually turns on them. And again, the party's not having to expend any more resources on this fight. So it's kind of on their advantage, I guess. How many more years of gameplay are still left to go? You mean how much more D&D I have in me, or like this campaign specifically? Because we've been doing the D&D YouTube thing since like 2015, I think. Is that right? Almost the entire length of 5th edition, I believe I've been doing it. In terms of this particular campaign, though, I don't want it to last as long as my last 2 campaigns. So my goal is to probably hit somewhere around 18 months instead of the usual 2-year standpoint. And I think we're coming up on 1 year, I believe. Either August or September will be 1 year in this campaign. Yeah. In terms of how much we've got left, I think I've talked about this a couple times, but we're probably 2/3 the way through the campaign. I think we're going to do a few more of the Pirate Lord things, and then we're going to do the Driftwood Docks and Sea King Tentrix, and basically wrap up the whole Black Armada storyline, which is all from Call from the Deep. I'll probably introduce the Elemental Plane of Water side quests very briefly and that'll just be a nice goal to teleport the party up where they need to go, which is the Purple Rocks, and which is the very creepy Lovecraftian, evil village thing on the water, and then that leads to the ruins that has the big mega dungeon in it that acts as the big finale for this campaign. So there's not much left in terms of the open world stuff. This is basically what we're doing right now is kind of the last of the open world stuff. It's gonna be all very linear after that, but there's still a good amount of content left with that stuff. So yeah, I'd probably say we're 2/3, which, for almost a year in, I think that tracks. And a big boss creature that could engage with Mac and the pirates. It could be to Underhold, get the rest of the time to catch up, keep them in initiative though. Well, we're assuming they could catch up in a few rounds. We're assuming the party knows where Mac is and they don't. I guess I could be more judicial with... this is where you'd have those stupid spells. It's like locate creature or something. You just need to fucking LoJack your party member. They don't know where he is. You know, it's one thing to chase after somebody, knowing where they are, but literally don't even know he's in the dungeon. So when they enter, they're going to be walking around pretty slowly doing dungeon stuff, which is what I thought this was going to be, and not like running after him and try to chase to catch up to a particular battle. So a big tricky thing on my end, which I think is one of the hardest split party situations, is when some party is in combat and other party members are not in combat, because combat rounds take a while in our time, but they don't take up very much time at all in the game. If that makes sense, right? It's like 6 seconds for your turn or something, or for a round, whatever it is. And but that usually takes a while in game. So you want to kind of go back and forth and pace it where it's like, okay, now we do a round of combat, and now the party gets to do stuff, even though they're probably going to end up doing a lot more than they could in 6 seconds. That makes sense. I could, as soon as they enter the dungeon, put them in initiative order. That would be a choice. That would be the easiest thing for me to be able to obviously just go, okay, now it's your turn, now it's your turn. Even though a lot of the party would not be in combat for a while. But that would be like, all right, this is as much as you can do while still being fair to the person in combat, I guess. It would be like, you can move up to 30 feet, you can do whatever action you want to do, even though you guys are not in combat. That would probably be, yeah, I guess that is an option. If for some reason they knew Mac was down there, if they dashed, which they'd be taking all that glorious spike growth damage if they don't think to grab a wooden token from a statue, which, why wouldn't you? It's not really spelled out that way. You could technically make it to the cliff in a single round if you dashed. Or to the water, I guess, to the river. Then that's one turn of just doing it that turn. And then it'd take you at least one more turn to cross the river, climb the cliff, and then you might still have an action. Yeah, so it would take you 2 turns to reach the battle if you knew exactly where you wanted to go. And it even says in the adventure, like, hey, this river is pretty rapid, and it really fucks up your ability to like hear anything. I'll have to look up that information. Where it says Omen's Isle. I should probably have that pulled up. I5. It might be under I4 actually. The river is freezing cold, flows from west to east at a rate of 60 feet per round, which I'm not doing that. That's insane. 60 feet per round is real fucking fast. The river is difficult terrain. Fall prone in the water, carried east by the current. I do like that. River terrains the eastern stream, flows through tight passages without access to air. Okay, maybe it doesn't say there. Okay, here we go. Characters have disadvantage on wisdom perception checks that rely on hearing in this chamber. So even if somebody tries to make a perception check to figure out where Mac is, you'd actually have disadvantage because of this river sounds you would get. Hey, thank you, CMG. Appreciate you. If the other enemies triggered oh, I know. If I were writing this narratively, that's absolutely what would happen, right? The only other enemies that are in here, though, is actually opt-in. That I made them opt in is you walk into the statue, you read the plaque, you have to opt in to put your hand on the device, whatever you want to call it, indention thing, and that's what summons all these ghostly warriors. So you could get in your own combat encounter here, which these are, I think I changed these actually from Berserkers to Phantom Warriors. Shout out to when we were looking at stat blocks the other last week, I guess. CR3 guys. Those are kind of more interesting than the Wraith guys, aren't they? But, well, the Wraith ones are probably about the same. But yeah, they could easily trigger that fight, which maybe I need to get rid of one of those guys and add some more Sword Wraith guys in here. So what do we think about this final battle down here? If, let's assume it's Mac, the Storm Maiden, this whole crew. Which, by the way, I did tease the fact that she's got I kind of teased it. I think I mentioned she had a spear that kind of looked like a lightning bolt. She literally carries a javelin of lightning and an arrow catching shield. It's her whole thing is she's got magic items. But I don't think she needs to use it in these fights. I think she would probably hopefully save that. 'Cause unfortunately, it's like a once per thing, and I hate for her to use it. And especially if there's a bunch of her guys around, like I don't think she'd use it in those situations. So I'd probably just use her regular spear and shield combo. But she's got it if the party turns on them. I'm very curious to see how Mac deals with this. I guess I need to look up her flaws and bots and all that shit to see. I didn't expect to have to do much role playing here, but that was. You should always be able to fall back on that. This is going to be Chapter 4, Tentrix and Pirate Lords. Storm Maiden. Hailing from Ruggersheim of Norland in the Moonshine Island, Storm Maiden was once a feared battle leader. Height of her power, she led a crazed quest to control the Sea of Swords in her ship, resulted in her ship vanishing beneath the waves. Blessed by Umberlee and Valkyr, the Storm Maiden somehow survived. Took many years for her return, but she immediately stole a ship from petty pirate captain and began amassing a new crew. She remembers her defeat at the hands of the White Sails Company and realized she needed a fleet of vessels to take revenge on Mintarn. Her mission quickly drew the attention of Sea King Tentrix, who offered her a position of command in the Black Armada should she help him enact his plans. Stormmaid knows Tentrix is a Rocklander who venerates Slarkorthel and believes she will be given command of the Black Armada after Tentrix is done. She's a proud woman who believes her blessings from Umberlee and Valkyr will guide her to victory. Ideal, I will revenge on Mintarn and claim Norland as my domain. Bond, Tentrix has promised me the Black Armada. I need his authority to take command of the fleet. Okay. Flaw, my mood is like the sea. At times calm, at others tempestuous. Not even I can predict which it will be. So, she's loyal to Tentrix, but only because that's means to an end for her. What's going on is I'm trying to figure out how to roleplay this sudden... this combat encounter. Guy boy. That is now... Mac has a new party with a bunch of NPCs, and I'm wrapping my head around how that's going to work. I think at the very least we need to add more sword wraiths. Which is just solid life advice, I think. Just add more sword wraiths. I did not create a master wraith, though. Almost said master race. Don't do that either. But I need to create a master wraith. By that, I mean, if I copy this token and paste it, since I've already rolled the hit points, the macro will no longer work. So it's always a good idea to save one and keep it on the GM layer. Like so. Although the fucking things don't work anymore. What is going on, Roll20? Make a fool out of me. What is your average hit points? 45. Alright. So now we do that. Now I can copy, paste, paste. We need to make some more. I don't want to make like a whole bunch more. And then we can... Okay, maybe my macros are just not working right now. That would also be fantastic. Let's check on that. Spin up the sandbox, boys. Spinning. By the way, I finally played the Marvel Rivals closed beta this last weekend. I finally got in. Holy crap, I love that game. That is so much fun. I loved Overwatch back when it came out, but I dropped off long before it even became Overwatch 2. But I enjoyed that genre and gameplay, and I'm a huge Marvel fan, so it's just really polished, really fun. I was a huge fan. Whoops, I just clicked Token Fate. That's not correct. That's not correct. So what is it going to... Yep. Token Fate is chosen Sword Wraith Warrior. Let's hide that message. Seriously, we're still not working? Or if they have to be on the token layer. Well, that is disappointing. Alright, let's manually roll it then. +68 plus 18. All that work. Seen this campaign. You haven't seen this campaign? This is our campaign right now. I've been doing it for almost a year. I think I just said that, right? I've been doing it for almost a year now. 48. This is Call from the Deep plus bits of Ghost of Saltmarsh, although now I think we're solidly on just Call from the Deep right now. 3, 4, 5. If we need to add more, how many can he actually summon legitimately? 1d4 plus 1. So he could summon up to 5. Okay. Still playing by the rules. But we could do more or less if we wanted to. Do you think the Sword Wraith Commander is a good enough boss? This dungeon was all over the place with their balancing, too. Like DC 20 on all the saves and checks. It's like, Jesus, is this a Dragon's Lair? It's a pretty simple stat block. It's just a really high-powered knight. AC 8, average of 127 hit points. I was going to crank his hit points higher to 150, as I usually do with bosses, but that's a nebulous number. Long sword attack, pretty basic, plus 7 to hit. Turning Defiance. Nobody ever plays a cleric in my party that cares about turning. Damage resistances from non-magical. I think max bow is magic. Condition immunities. The only thing he's got is Martial Fury. As a bonus action, the Sword Wraith can make 1 weapon attack. So it's a 3rd attack. Which deals an extra 2d8 necrotic damage on a hit. That doubles his average damage. If it does so, attack rolls against it have advantage until the start of its next turn. That is devastatingly bad for an enemy, which is why I'm tempted to just delete that sentence as a way of rebalancing this creature, because good lord, nobody wants to have advantage against them. Otherwise, just give it, yeah, I could make a bonus weapon attack, which does an extra 2d8 necrotic damage on hit. The bad thing about clicking this button, though, is if I click it, then it automatically rolls the damage before I even make the attack. So maybe I can actually go in and have it roll the attack. That's actually a smarter move. Eric, let's do that. Let's make it an attack. It's 1 melee attack, so it's got a +7, reach of 5 feet. 7. 1 target, and it does... So it does have a 2-handed option, but it's also using a shield, so I should probably stick to the 1-handed option. 1d8 plus 4. Slashing, and then we'll do 2d8 necrotic. That's actually better way. We'll just say an extra... So we won't have that do any more. Extra 2d8 necrotic damage on a hit. Okay, so now we click it. Okay, and it rolls the attack. Of course, I rolled garbage because it's me. I rolled a 2. But if it were a hit... Oh shit, that didn't work. Sword Wraith Commander's bugged. No. Doesn't like showing the damage. Why not? Why not? Oh, weird. I had this happen before on a creature, and I didn't know what the fuck was going on. Do we need to delete the original Sword Wraith Commander, maybe? Scrolling. Or no, we can't delete him because that's where... So wait, if I click you... Yeah, that's the sheet I am using. Does your normal attack work? Let's see. Fuck, it sure doesn't. Okay. Well, let's delete this sheet. see if another stat block works before I do that. See if the warrior works. Yeah, warrior works just fine. Ah, he's got the same Martial Fury thing. But they only have one attack. So Martial Fury just gives him 2 attacks. Well, that's dumb. I should just have multi-attack then. Because I'm not wanting to do the advantage thing. Also, I feel like the commander should have, like... The commander should have the ability... Oh, what is the other stat block that can do that? It's like a null commander or something, where it's like... You expend... Like, you command people, right? Like, you use a bonus action to make another ally expend their reaction to make a hit. Like, that's the kind of abilities this guy should have. Not this guy, the commander. Commander. Alright, meanwhile, we're going to try to fix this. We're going to actually delete this stat block. Which is going to fuck up this guy. Yeah, so now he no longer has a thing. Then, we're going to bring him back in. Sword Wraith Commander from Mordenkainen's. Yeah, exactly. In fact, looking at the Battle Master stuff would be good inspiration. All right, let's see if this stat block... I haven't done anything with this stat block. Let's see if it works. Oh, there's a crit. Okay, there's the damage. That works fine. I shouldn't do all this because I have to hide all these now. Hiding. I wonder if that's passively intimidating when the party comes on and sees like a million messages have been hidden. It's like, oh shit, what's he cooking over there? But yeah, I feel like the commander should actually have some kind of command abilities. The only commander ability it's got is actually summon the squad. So let's see if we can make this work again. So 5 feet plus 7, 1 target, 1d8 plus 4 slashing, 2d8 necrotic. Getting rid of the advantage thing because I hate that. Fury. Okay, that works. That works. Well, what I should be doing is switching it to the whisper to GM. I don't know why I'm not fucking doing that. I'm an idiot. If you just click that GM button, it'll whisper everything and then it doesn't appear to the players. But I didn't think of it till just now. That's my bad. All right. What other creature has the like command thing? This is just search boss. Somebody with boss in the name. Goblin boss has like the one where you can like redirect, I think. Yeah, redirect attack, which is funny. Maybe actually Chieftain or Chief might be a better... Hey, Chief. I'm Planescape. Orc War Chief. I have a cool... Nope, nothing. He's just a stronger orc. Okay, that's a waste. I know at least there's got to be one other basic creature in the monster manual. I thought that has something I'm thinking of. I'm gonna... Don't tell me I'm going to do this myself. Also, I thought I'd find more success searching Chief here. Hobgoblin Chief. Bugbear, Vegapygmy, Kobold, Yeti, Ogre, Goblin. We have to just search Hobgoblin. Yeah, maybe it's come up with something else. Hobgoblin Captain, perhaps. It's got a leadership ability. It gives like the Bless spell. Bless is kind of a pain in the ass. Because there's not a good way to add that to the sheet. I want like a once per, like, boom, you do your thing, and then that guy does that thing. How about a Warlord? Warlord. Still doesn't have anything. Fuck. I am going crazy right now. It was at least... I swear it was a Null. Let me look up Null. Not the thing you would expect to be martially minded. Null Pack Lord. Okay, not quite. It's got the Incite Rampage, but that is part of its multi-attack. So it's kind of an extra thing. One creature the Null can see within 30 feet of it can use its reaction to make a melee attack if you can hear the Null and has a Rampage trait. Oh, that's basically what I'm thinking of. That one's on a recharge. So who would have thunk the Null Pack Lord to be the one actual, like, general type unit who can command others effectively and feel like they're commanding others? So I realize my overlay's cutting off the relevant bits. I can't actually raise it higher than that, but it's down there. Can I make the window smaller? No, you still can't quite see it, can you? Oh, I can scroll down a little bit. Yeah, there we go. It's this one right here, Incite Rampage. That's what I was thinking of. Use its reaction. So you just use another creature's reaction to make a melee attack. So if I wanted to do that, I could say... Although, this would be great if this was a traditional battle, though. I don't know why I'm thinking about this. But I don't want... If this battle is going to start, at least the first half, with... Oh god, this is going to be fucking hilarious when the rest of the party shows up, too. Because Mac basically said he defected from them. He's going to have some hilarious explaining to do. I don't know how this is going to fucking go down. There's no way to prep for this. Like, I have no idea what's going to happen. I have no idea what's going to happen when this group is engaged with this battle and the rest of the party comes up on them. Who the hell knows what's going to happen? But the problem with me working on this fight also, as I just mentioned, I don't know if I want to run this as a legit fight now. If it's literally Mac is the only player amongst 9 NPCs, you know, battling each other mostly. I don't think I want to even roll dice for that because the rest of the party is like off doing something else. Again, not my fault. This was not my intention. But in that case, I would just hand wave stuff away. I guess it's important for like showing off the creature stat block. We could add that in there. All right, just for funsies, let's simulate what this looks like. So Mac's probably going to be smart and just shoot from afar. The Stormmaid will probably be in melee with the boss, I would expect. She's melee. Oh, she can hurl spears, I guess. All right, this time we're going to click the 2GM. So if she does, and she's got a shield, so she would do her spear one-handed, but she can do it 3 times. So 1, 2, 3. 3 hits from the Storm Maiden. Only one of those is going to hit an AC 18 Sword Wraith Commander for 8 piercing damage. And if she's not using her, you know what? She probably would use her Javelin of Lightning, actually. It still counts as a magic weapon. It's the same numbers, I think. Why is that one bigger? 2d8 plus... Oh, I guess there's no stat block for using a Javelin and two-handed. Okay. So it would, no resistance, in other words. So only 8 damage that round that she would do to the boss. And meanwhile, the Sword Wraith Commander makes 2 attacks. One of them would hit her. They both are like AC 18, I think. For 10 damage. I think they both have very similar damage. And then he could use his Martial Fury, which would hit for 15 damage. So far he's doing 25 damage that round, and she only did 8. But presumably at least one of the other stat blocks would also be fighting him, the boss, while the others are engaged with the Sword Wraiths. We've got these guys are just Berserkers. They attack once per turn with their great axes. 15. What's the AC on these things? 16. Just trying to think what's the mood gonna be when these two forces fight each other. The spies will be able to make good use of their sneak attacks because there'll be a lot of allies around. Not if a roll like that though. Although we'll get like 4 attacks off. Man, look at that. Only 1 hits. 7 piercing, but assuming you got sneak attack, suddenly that's 17 damage. And our pirate deck wizard friend here did give some extra spells to, thinking again that would be against the players. I can just do Ray of Frost, I guess, auto attack. Cold damage. Melf's Acid Arrow is kind of a pain in the ass to track. Maybe my terrible rolls will aid us and let this battle last a long time. There are a lot of pretty high AC units on the enemy side, which are the Sword Wraiths and the Commander, all of like 16, 18 AC. Whereas the Pirates, not so much. At least the Spies have far fewer hit points, so I don't know what that's going to look like. Mac obviously can do a fuck ton of damage. And he's going to turn the tide for the Pirates, no question. The big question is how many Pirates will be alive at the end of this encounter? And when does the party arrive? And do they get involved in this ghost fight separately? Which would be amazing to run 2 completely different separate fights concurrently, with neither party even knowing what the other is doing, and Mac just has to waltz out with this group. But their goal is to just plunder this whole thing. I've got this whole fucking cutscene where like the ghost king comes on and asks the party shit. Like, man, I'm gonna have to change that up. Son of a bitch. Huh. I guess I need to rewrite one just in case. Well, maybe I don't have to rewrite it because it would kind of be the same outcome. Either way, the general ends up respecting whoever defeats them. And the Storm Maiden is probably the one pirate captain who's more warrior focused and not as like scheming or cruel as the others, which is also beneficial for Mac allying with her, I guess. Yeah, I don't know. It's gonna be nuts. Thankfully, pretty easy to run because it's all basic auto attacks, I think. The only one that's a little tricky being the spellcaster, but I'll probably just use basic auto attacks for him too. Also, I don't know why the Storm Maiden keeps losing her health bar. Still says it has it there, but I think she said she has an arrow catching shield. I guess I need to look that one up. It should be in here. Does that only add AC against range attacks? Because that's how it's plugged into her stat block. Arrow catching shield. Again, +2 bonus to AC against range attacks while you wear this shield. This bonus is in addition to the shield's normal bonus to AC. Okay. In addition, whenever an attacker makes a ranged attack against a target within 5 feet of you, you can use your reaction to become the target of the attack instead. An actual tanking ability is kind of interesting. It does require attunement, though. You get an extra +2 bonus, specifically against range attacks. And then whenever somebody makes a ranged attack, somebody within 5 feet of you. Yeah, somebody like Gottwald might want it. But it does take up an attunement slot. Interestingly, I was going to have the big fancy sword, or not sword, great axe, not require attunement because it has the requirement of being embiggened in order to use it properly. And also, I was not going to give it an actual +1. It was just going to have the extra damage against giant types. And she's got the Javelin of Lightning, which she can actually hurl, which does its whole big thing. Kind of a complicated weapon, but it's only a once per day thing. But hopefully I can save that when she actually has to attack the party, which I assume is going to go down. I guess there's always the possibility where everybody leaves amicably after they just offended Gallus so much and he left, and they can just ally with one of the Black Armada people. That would be a hell of a thing. I don't think... I'm trying to think about what the hell's going to happen. I don't think the rest of the party would be on board with this. Surely Gottwald hates the Black Armada and hates Tentrix. And I think as soon as the party showed their face... Well, he did say that he defected while they were outside. Yeah, we'll have to see how it goes down. I assume there's going to be a fight here, but I'm willing to play it by ear and see. Her first goal was to loot this place. The first directive was to loot this place of its treasure. So if the party lets her take all those magic items and leave, that would certainly help their cause. But then her second goal is certainly, I would assume, as part of the... I'm literally picturing them like in the... What do they call it? The bullpen or something with cops, and they're getting like their missions for the day or something. And these are the pirate lords, and they all got their mission to be like, all right, here's our most wanted list, and the fucking party is on this list. So, you know, some of you are going to go hunt them down, which Scummer and Desecrates are off to do that, while the rest of you, and then the two of you are going to go hunt these other loot sites. So I would imagine if one of those looters saw the party, then they'd be like, oh shit, we need to take the party out. But then I kind of played with it with Mac, and Mac was like, you know, I'm defecting them, I'm against it, I want to join Tentrix. And she's like, okay. So it gets really tricky if the rest of the party shows up. My first reaction would be to immediately turn Stormmaid and her crew hostile, but not to Mac, and give him a chance, and her be like, okay, hey, they're here, now's your chance to prove your loyalty. We need to take their heads to Tentrix. And then I'm sure he will probably want to talk his way out of that. But I don't think... The only other way I could talk it out is if they somehow, like, stripped them of all their belongings and, like, left them here for dead or something. Which would be the fun, like, movie thing to do, right? It would be the low point of the hero's journey would be... or maybe they're just beaten up or something, I don't know. But D&D wise, I know that players would never willingly part with damn near anything. So I think that's going to end up forcing the fight there. I'm just trying to like run through all these possibilities now in my head that I can try to prepare myself for what's going to happen. Or maybe neither the two shall meet. It's possible Mac will completely finish this battle down here. They will loot all the things. He will let them take the things. And then he will just let them go. And then he will somehow meet. But the only way that works is if the party is very slow in exploring the dungeon and ends up fighting this whole battle here. Maybe he lets them go. Or maybe they all go. The party sees them walking, attacks over here in this river area. Like all kinds of crazy shit could happen. And a lot of it depends on how I try to plan everything. And yes, by the way, the Cloaker is still alive. But it literally got reduced to like 16 hit points, I think, after Mac laid into it. So I don't think it's going to probably attack anybody again. This is hidden down here, by the way. This is another cliff like this one is with the dynamic lighting. So even though it's sitting right here, they can't see where this monster is. So I'm not planning on using that guy because it's not a suicidal creature. So Maiden could insist that Mac lead the way to prove loyalty, putting him in the thick of things when the fight breaks out. Yeah, for sure. I think she would have him up there when this fight breaks out, definitely. Although Mac would still probably try to maneuver where he can do range attacks. But we've seen him also deal crazy good damage with the Scimitar of Speed as well. And this would give him a chance to, again, prove himself. He can do all that in this fight. We just don't know how long this fight is going to take. I'm thinking I'm probably... what I need to do is figure out my simulation. Be like, okay, how much damage is everybody doing versus each other? Because I probably don't want to sit here and actually roll the die. I probably will need to roll it for the boss. Anybody attacking the boss and the boss doing damage will probably need to be legit. But like the minions, I don't know how legit I need to be about rolling their attacks and also all the pirate guys' attacks too. We could just say like, I don't know. If there's 4 of these Wraith Warriors and each one is doing 1 attack, although maybe we let the boss give them an extra attack or something once in a while. I don't know how to work that out. 2 GM. 1, 2, 3, 4. Shit, I got more things. No, I don't have to. It's all 2 GM. Okay. 10, 19, 20, and 21. 3 of those are going to hit. So that's kind of nuts, but that's probably not necessarily... Yeah, the +6 to hit. That's dealing 23 total damage from the warriors. So you could say an average of 20 damage around from them, distributed amongst the NPCs. And then, well, the NPCs as if they're not all NPCs. And then on the pirate side, let's say we've got 2 great axes. Those are both going to miss. And you've got the spies, which can deal actually 4 attacks between the 4 of them. Jesus, those guys suck. That's a 16 AC they're trying to hit. Okay, out of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 attacks, 1 of them is higher than a 16. My goodness, that just seems like bad luck. For 3 damage. Well, the pirates aren't doing very well in that one. Yikes. 20 damage to 3 damage that round. Although I guess we can include the Deck Wizard. Deck Wizard would probably be shooting the boss. So I might have to roll his legitimately. But maybe we do like 10 damage to the Sword Wraith Warriors. Because that seems like just bad luck on their part. And then 20 damage from the Warriors to the Pirates. If I keep the 4. Right, I originally had 3 plus the boss when I thought it was just going to be the party. Now it's Mac plus this other pirate crew, which is a much more bigger but weaker party. So I had a 4th one, and I do have a 5th one if I need to. More cloakers. That's your solution to everything, Morgan. So I may just do it like that. I may just distribute the numbers as I see fit. Hand wave some of the combat going on in the background, for example, and then just see how long it takes the rest of the party to get here. If they do make it to that fight, it's possible they don't know and they treat it like, all right, well, he's on his own. We're going to be exploring this area. I mean, and they've got dungeony stuff to do, right? There's a spike growth thing here. Not everybody can climb walls. Abra can. Gottwald and Torwald are going to be in pain until they maybe grab the tokens or get out of this junction. This is a giant, like, poisonous fireball room waiting to happen if they step in here trying to look for Mac. And then, like I said, this is the chance to prove yourself to Tempest and fight a bunch of ghostly warriors in the process. All is a distraction to the real fight going on down here for the treasures, which includes a folding boat. I did update the treasures. I also, I think, gave him his own bespoke armor. Let's see, what did I use for that? This is one I actually came up with, I think. Iron Hand's plate armor. This replaces the adamantine armor, which was originally here. This is a +1 bonus to AC. This is plate armor. I assume Gottwald's going to want this. Although Toril can wear plate as well, I believe. He took a fighter. Actually, can you wear heavy armor if you multi-class in a fighter? I don't know. Additionally, if you score a critical hit while wearing this armor, you may use a bonus action to direct an ally within 30 feet to make one weapon attack using their reaction. They have advantage on the attack. If the attack hits, you both gain temporary hit points equal to half the damage dealt. I tried to come up with something that was like commander ability. And that's, granted, very rare. It only goes off if you score a critical hit. You have to also use a bonus action. Like, all these things are pretty, like, nitpicky. And already +1 armor is very, very good in this game, I think. But I think it's always nice to put a little bit something extra on top of just a normal +1 thing. So it's going to have that. It's going to have a folding boat. And it's going to have the Giant Slayer sword, which is oversized and has the extra D12 of damage. But you have disadvantage if you use it when you're not large or larger yourself. So only Gottwald will really be able to wield this sword with any kind of accuracy. Although with his deformed state, he was still hitting things pretty well currently. Which that's the other thing that Chris is going to have to deal with that. He was already complaining about it. But I was like, all right, well, probably a good solution is next time he's on the ship and going through long rest, he can try to free himself of the curse. Well, technically not getting long rest, but as the days go by, he can keep making those saves. But yeah, currently he has still got the deformity curse from the Fomorian, so he's got disadvantage on strength and dex, which is pretty nasty. So originally that sword was actually up here, and I moved that to be in the actual shrine room itself down here. That's pretty much Iron Hand Cairn. I think we'll definitely get through this tomorrow. Or not tomorrow, sorry. Friday. We'll get through it this week on Friday. It's not the Thursday stream. This is Monday stream. And I have no idea how it's going to work. I'm very anxious about this coming session, I guess. I felt pretty calm going into it. Now, not so much with all the things that have transpired, but at least we don't have to do any of the crazy not last minute, but any of the map pain in the ass prep stuff. We'll save that for Narino, which is the next area they'll go to, and the only other kind of open world section of chapter 3 in here, which I'm leaning towards actually redesigning instead of doing what I did here, which is literally keep the dungeon map and just paste stuff over it. I'm thinking of just using a different map entirely and just creating kind of a different dungeon map, but keeping the idea that this is another similar dungeon area, but instead of finding a pirate captain who's in the middle of infiltrating and looting the place, instead you find his crew basically slaughtered by the new occupant of this ancient merfolk city, which is an underwater vampire, and probably have to fight like some vampire spawn and stuff along the way, and then ultimately the big bad thing could actually be just a role-playing scene, possibly. Although I would probably want to try to force a fight. How strong is this vampire? I think she's a legit vampire. CR13. Although she has a Quipper form, that's pretty funny. But yeah, got the Misty Escape, Regeneration, Legendary Resistance, Legendary Actions, all that good shit. Maybe it's just a merfolk vampire then. That could be interesting. I think she's supposed to have a swimming speed. But yeah, there could be some social thing there, but if they want to get any treasure out of the situation, it may just be they show up, they see that she's slaughtered the other captain, and then she's like, yeah, I'm going to go. By the way, I didn't have Callus actually tell the party about the fact that each pirate lord has that special compass that tells you where Tentrix's lair is. So, and they didn't get that from Scummer because Scummer turned invisible and fucked off in the, I guess, was that last session or two sessions ago? I need to include that here and be prepared for that because they could very well defeat the Storm Maiden, they would find it on her body, I guess, if they actually defeat her. If not, they would find it in Narino on Dirge's body, but I guess, again, there's a chance that things could end amicably here and they get rid of it, but she would not divulge that information, certainly, and they wouldn't necessarily know what it is that they found But maybe they can figure out once they're back on the surface world, it'll always point towards the Nilanthers. And then once they're in there, it would help them basically bring them to Driftwood Docks. So, all right, I think that is going to do it for this Monday edition of Crafting the Deep. Thank you all for joining me. If you enjoy the content, as always, please check out patreon.com/RogueWatson. Shouts to Platinum patrons Joe, Will, Thomas, Stan, Brandon, Zenicider, Eclectic, Roleplayer Roll, Christopher, Corey, Big Nut, John F, John L, Tyler, Nathan, Camp Crystal Lake Counselor, Andrew, Daryl the Reldron, Stephanie, Patrick, Jason, Ismail, Ahmet, Libby Spuds, Sharni, Warden, Harold, Sam, Eudemonia, LLC, Jamie, Reese, Tom, and Lucius. And a gold patrons, RPG, Papercrafts, Pretty Boy, and Yuma, The Lizard Lounge, Jerome, Nathan, Fazlica, Tortoise, Scott, Rufus, Karen, Jerry, Glenn, Marcus, and Mark. Thank you all very much for your support. I will see you for another crafting episode on Thursday.